Yo, 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 what is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy BN. Today, we are going to be giving you an update on the round 1 out of 3 for the group playoffs that have started for Roots of War League Season 1, the inaugural ROW League season. Now, we have finally made it to the Strife Conference Legendary, which is basically the best of the best teams from Season of Strife onwards, which is basically AKA from Season 4 plus. Now, let's show you the scheduling real quick, and then we're going to get to our updated sheet, and we have some updated numbers that we're going to show you as well. So I'm pretty excited for this because they've been coming out with a lot more detailed stats on the row side for each of the teams that I'm pretty excited about. So we got 3 groups that we have to, or excuse me, 8 groups here, Group A through H, and we have 3 rounds that we have to get through. So you can see here, playoffs round 1 finished at 10-5. Over the next 2 weeks, we are going to end up getting playoffs round 2, round 3, and then we get the elimination draw. So, and then obviously those will start right with the first round on the 26th. So we are getting close. However, let's take a look at the knockout rounds, right? Which, like we said, start on the 26th. Now, the way they've set this up is kind of like a west and an east side, because they're obviously going to be splitting this up, right? Where you're going to have the 16 teams going down to 8. So, and then obviously we'll get the consecutive rounds as you see forth. However, let's take a look and give you an update on how the round 1s played out. So we have, these are each of the teams that got W's in each of the groups, right? DYH, FWH, 30NA, NTA, 25IL, OMG, Echo or ECH1, NTS, Echo's Main, NXW, EIS, BNR, BTX, RAC, and WAO, right? Each getting wins in their own right. You can even see the point spread here by how many points they won by, right? 65, 65,000, 42. I mean, again, like good, decent numbers, right? Echo, 89,000, 43 or 57,000 there from BTX, and we got a 69,000 there from Sleepy Eyes. But now, if you were, as an example, to click on one of the alliances, it gives you what I think is like a nice kind of starter breakdown. It would be cool if maybe they added maybe a couple more stats here, but I do like how they're kind of starting out with some of these. So we updated this on the sheet, which we're going to show you now. And let's start with, we've broken this up just so we can kind of have this be a little easier on the viewer yourself, where we have the Strife Conference Legendary, right? Because there's 8 groups, or 8, well, I guess, yeah, technically groups, right? So we have Group A, which I guess I could do something like this. I don't know if this helps in any capacity, but we'll do that. And then we'll go Group B, Group H. So essentially what I've done is I have listed out and broken each of these up into groups and then also their seeds. So one of the important things that I've taken away from the power, and I want to point out I've updated the power numbers as well. I checked with a couple people, and it appears that each round, the match that you see taking place for the amount of power that you are is updated based on each match, right? For whatever your current power is going into that match. I had some people send me a couple screenshots, and each of the screenshots had different powers for each of the rounds or match days that they were playing. So it appears at face value, again, unless COD CS comes back and tells me it's not, or there's something else there, it seems that that could be what the case is. With that being said, the power is updated as of for this first round. So, and then I also put in the seed ranking. So like, what's your seed rank, right? For round 1, based on how strong you are, and then compared to the other 32 teams. So you could see here across the board, right? We got DYH. And so there's a couple things here. W is for wins. WR is win rate. WL is your win-loss record. And then we have AS, which is average score. And this is something interesting because this is something you basically would have to add up every score per week and then round it out, but they're kind of giving you the averages already. So it's kind of a nice to see. And then I also put in the rank. So this is the rank of an average score, right? Based on who has the highest amount. And I will port this over. This is the master, but I'll port this over to the public as well. Now, I've only done the Strife Conference Legendary. I'm going to try and do the Epic one whenever I find some time, but I wanted to at least get you guys something out now. Some people will say, boss, you don't need to do the Epic, let alone the newcomer, because the strongest teams are essentially here that have made it to the legendary portion of the Strife Conference. But, you know, again, if I have time, I will try. I just want to at least put a little disclaimer out there. So let's kind of go across the board and look at some stats. So again, it's all pretty standard, right? Every team prior to round one pretty much had a 5-0 record, right? This is the first time that any of these undefeated teams could have seen a loss. Along with, you can see some of the ranks coming in, right? Like 30 NA came in at the second highest power. EIS came in at the highest power at about 6.97. Coincidentally, Echo came in as the sixth strongest power over here at 5.48. And then let me see where's number 4. That was, 3 was WBA, 4 BTX, 6.29. And I believe there was only, where's 5? Yeah. So there was only 4 teams over 6 billion power for their row teams. If we get to 502, you could see here, right? There was 11 teams over 5 billion power. Then we had for the 4 billion powers here, I think it might be 25, 4.08, which is number 25. Let me see where 26 is, because that will tell me wherever I put 26, which was right in front of me and I just missed it. Yeah, look at that. It's right here below. So 26 teams. I guess that means I need to look for 27. Which they're probably up here. No, there you go, 27, see? So 28. So 27 teams at 4 bill power or more. You could see, right, average score here that they're making, which is pretty high, right? Who placed first and average score is actually Echo. They come in at 87,658 points is their average score so far. And that even accounts for their latest match this week as well. Number 2 here, we have, I think is down here, so that's BTX, average score 80,000. We had number 3 is actually ECH1, so Echo's second team, comes in at 80.6 thousand. Then we had, where's number 4 here? 80,000. EIS comes in. So I think we had 5 teams, that average, and WAO rounds that out at number 5, comes in at over 5,000, right? Number 6 is over here, and you can see a little bit of drop there for RAC. And then we have, let me see, 70, where am I at? 15. Let's make sure there's no one else lower. So I think that might be the case here at 73. So I think it's 15. Where's 16? That'll tell me. Yeah. So 15 teams have an average score of 70,000 or more. And then I think it's 28 teams. Where's 29? Yeah. So 28 teams have an average score of 60,000 points or more, with only 5 of them having an 80,000 point score or higher. Now, let's go in to some matches, because I think, to me, this is pretty interesting when we look at some of these, right? So FWY beats out WA, right? Now, this, to me, feels like an upset, because this is the number 13 seed coming in at 14.93 billion power versus WBA, who was the number 3 seed for this week at 6.61 billion. You're talking about a 1.7 billion almost power differential. Again, obviously it would have to depend on, you know, how many people showed up overall, but like that is pretty massive. Like, to me, that feels like you're kind of getting into upset territory, at least at face value, right? Without knowing the particulars. Then DYH and NTW, right? This was DYH winning, which, again, they were the number 16 seed going up against the 30, right? So you got about a billion power differential that's in favor of DYH. Again, they end up winning, though. 30 NA ends up beating out Rage. This was the number 2 seed going up against the number 9 seed, right? 6.75 billion power versus 5.17. So you have about a 1.6 billion power differential in favor of NA. Then we look at ECH2 and N2A. This is the 27, right? So ECH the number 27 seed, NTA the number 24 seed. This matchup was close. They were separated by about half of 100 million. Right? Is that right? Yeah. So about 60 million power separated them going into this match. And the fact was, this match was close. It was basically within 1,000 points. And probably, in my opinion, was the match to watch, right? Because of how close it was. So again, that was really cool to see. 25 IL when we get to Group C, right? This is the number 23 seed going up against SCL, the number 28 seed. There was about 3.5, almost 400 million power differential that's separated, with that being in favor of 25 IL, right? They end up winning the match. OMG versus TFS. This was the number 5 seed going up against the number 8 seed in TFS. So they had about a 340 million power advantage in favor of OMG. They end up getting the W out here. Then we get to Group D. This is ECH1. They're the number 12 seed going up against EIL, the number 11 seed. They had about about 100 million less power, a little bit less than that. But ECH1, again, taking the win over here. NTS, the number 10 seed, going up against Apex, which is the number 22 seed. Again, this power separated was about 900 million, very close to that. But NTS still gets the W there, even though they did have some of the power advantage. Then we get to Group E. This is we'll do NXW first, going up against Squiggly Eyes. So this is the number 19 seed going up against the number 25 seed. Power separates them, which is about 350 million power, but this is in favor of NXW. They also get the win. Echo, the number 6 seed for this week, goes up against MFD, the number 26 seed. About 1.4 billion, a little more than that. Power separates in favor of Echo. They get the win this week. Then we get to Group F. This is YSS, which is the number 15 seed going up against the number 1 seed here in EIS, right? There's about 2.3 billion power that separates. EIS gets the win. BNR versus AVIC. This is the number 18 seed going up against the number 32 seed. About 1.1 billion power separates in favor of BNR, and they get the win. And then lastly, we'll talk about Group G and H. In Group G, we had SNIX versus RAC. Now, SNIX is the number 31 seed. They're going up against RAC, which is the number 21 seed. There's about 0.7 billion, 0.65, I think. 0.65, so 650 million, 660 million power. So that separates them with the power favor for RAC in this case, right? And they end up getting the win. Then it's BTX and ROG. Now, BTX is the number 4 seed, going up against ROG, which is the number 21 seed. There's literally a little over 2 billion power that separates in favor of BTX, and they end up getting the win here. Last group, which is H. This is 3-3 or Squiggly Eyes here. Sleepy Eyes, my apologies. They're the number 17 seed. They're going up against 21SW, which is the number 29 seed. There is about 850 million power that separates. That's in favor of Sleepy Eyes or 3-3. They get the win. Last matchup for the day was WAO and A2G. This is the number 7 seed going up against the number 14 seed in A2G. There is about 630 million power that's separated, again, estimated at the time of the match, in favor of WAO, and they end up getting the win. So that rounds us out for round 1. I will be keeping tabs on all of these. And I think I only showed you guys a couple, so we'll kind of show off everything as well here. But I'm basically going to track these each week, just kind of given that we're at the end now. So for those of you that would like to keep up with the Legendary Strife Conference, their stats, I'll even talk about differentials too as well. So for example, if the average score goes up or down, I'll put something in that says like plus or minus on did the average score go up, did it go down, we'll update win rates, win losses, and anything else that might be relevant. If there's something else you'd like for me to track, just please feel free to let me know in the comments below. I'm pretty excited because I'm planning to do a lot more than what we're showing off here once we get to the knockout rounds. And hopefully we might even be able to do some casting stuff, maybe some highlights for matches or some reviews here and there. I actually have like some row analysis ideas too as well that I'm thinking about doing once we do get to the knockout rounds, and possibly some interviews, some follow-ups, like maybe some storylines here or there. Like, I would really love to try and push as much Road League content as we can, because I think that this can be very exciting, if it's done well. And hopefully you guys will enjoy just a different take and a different approach to covering this event. That's it for me. As always, until next time, we'll catch you later.